And then there were 50. Leg 2 of the FedEx Cup playoffs and the season-long race for the FedEx Cup. BMW Championship taking us to suburban Chicago. Olympia Fields the setting, and the stars were out in round 1. Starting with your shot of the day, and plenty of entries here on Thursday. The award goes to Saith Theegala. Came into the week 31st in the FedEx Cup standings, but that'll help. One hops it in for the Eagle 2 from a $167. Saith moving to 4 under, and that's where he'd finish his round. T3 following a 66. Lucas Glover, the proud owner of back-to-back wins here the last 2 weeks, won his way into the playoffs and then took the first leg in Memphis. Here at the par 3 6th. Well, he's good from that distance. That used to be the distance that gave him trouble, but the broomstick, it's been feeling good. An even par 70 for Glover. Not out of it, but ground to make up as others were hunting red numbers. Jon Rahm, short-sighted, but always with a plan. He had trouble in Memphis, but still number 1 in the FedEx Cup standings. A good finish would keep him there and offer him pole position in Atlanta next week. From number 1 in the FedEx Cup to number 1 in the world, Scottie Scheffler. It's been one heck of a summer, but the wins haven't stacked up since the Players. He's got that new putter in the bag for a second straight week and swinging it a little bit more confidently as well. Scheffler T3, 4 under, 66. Brian Harman, your reigning champion golfer of the year, showing his putter is still a storyline. Harman from 42 feet to the bottom, moving him to 4 under, and then everybody was chipping in on Thursday. At the par 4 17th, coming home with a highlight. Sinks that one for birdie. T1, top of the leaderboard. Harman, a 5 under 65, tied with who? You're a wizard, Rory. From the trees, through the bunker, to another issue over the back of the green, but we show you things for reasons. Rory, with an all-world chip-in. Come on, Roars. McIlroy tied atop the leaderboard with Harman following what was a roller coaster, 5 under 65. McIlroy, some history made here as well. This is the 5th time in his career that he will hold the lead or co-lead at just the BMW Championship. That is the most of any player at any PGA Tour event on record. That is 1983 to today. Nobody has led through 18 more often than Rory McIlroy here. Plenty of golf to be played, but McIlroy is your betting favorite at plus 275, tied atop that leaderboard, as we said, with Harman. The stars falling in line behind them. Matt Fitzpatrick cutting a 4 under 66. You saw Theegala, Scottie Scheffler there at 4 under, as is the U.S. Open champ, Wyndham Clark, not too far back. Your Masters champion, Jon Rahm, T12 at 2 under, alongside Jordan Spieth, who also carded an opening round 68. It's 2 tied at the top, and at the top of our personal leaderboard, always CBS senior golf writer Kyle Porter. KP, an interesting first round to pick apart here, and I want to talk about our leaders first. And let's go with maybe the less expected, as ironic as that is to say, about the champion golfer of the year and Brian Harman. The rain came early in Chicago, and that really lengthened this golf course. Many thought it would become a driving contest. How did Harman succeed to this degree with those sort of hurdles put in front of him here in the first 18?
Yeah, it's interesting. This is not even though he's our most recent major champion, and this is what I've been calling all week, kind of a major championship venue, this is not an obvious fit for Brian Harman. I think that his short game was really good, and he hit his irons very well, and that's a good combination for anybody, but it's kind of the only combination for somebody like a Brian Harman. So I think there's some questions about sustainability at the top. This is a golf course that tends to sort of elevate the guys that are the biggest bombers and the best hitters. We see DJ and Rahm here back in 2020, and obviously Rory played great today, and this one was a little bit more surprising, even though he did just win the Open Championship. But again, Joe, the 2003 U.S. Open was held here, and Jim Furyk won, and he's not a long hitter off the tee. So I think there's certainly precedent for Harman, but I would be surprised if he's the one of these top 2 that kind of stays on the top of the board the rest of the week. That
was just a palate cleanser right there. I had to get one out in front of you before we dove into the main course here with Rory McIlroy. Top 9 or better in his last 8 starts, KP. Not long ago, we sort of had him labeled as a slow starter. Where have you seen improvement out of Rory in these opening rounds this summer?
Well, I think you saw it in the way that he scored on Thursday, and that was with his short game. It's It was such an interesting Rory round. He only hit 3 fairways, but he hit 15 greens. And in some ways, that's kind of the opposite of what he's been criticized for of, hey, he's awesome off the tee, but he doesn't hit enough greens, Well, he hit almost every green on Thursday. And the one that he didn't hit on number 17, you'll see here, he chips in, gets up and down from, I think it was 128 through the trees, and then chips in from there with the delayed club twirl, which I love. So the short game was really good. He was near the top in this field in terms of strokes gain around the green. You'll gain a lot of strokes by chipping in from where he was on 17 there. And I think now it's just a question of, okay, can you get driver straightened out? He said he wasn't concerned about it. I'm probably not concerned about it if I'm Rory McIlroy either. And if you do, then you probably have a pretty good chance to take the second playoff event and take that potentially that FedEx Cup lead to Eastlake.
65 with just 3 fairways. He's obviously been spending too much time with our guy Roger Steele at the Pro-Am. We'll see if Rory can get that straightened out, find those fairways, and stay at the top of that leaderboard. But just one rung down on that leaderboard in the 4-under group. That's going to be headlined by none other than Scheffler and Fowler. Ricky and Scotty going out there and posting a number through 18 as well. KP, as you sort of assess these two guys' summer, great moments throughout, but who needs this point of distinction more? Who needs to make this not just a productive weekend, but perhaps a winning weekend?
Yeah, it's a great question because they're 2 very different summers, right? Where Scheffler has really thrived and not won, and Fowler's been really good, but not quite at Scheffler's level, but he has won. He won the Rocket Mortgage Classic. So I actually would say Scheffler kind of needs this. You know, it was interesting. Rick and I were just talking on the First Cut podcast, Rick Gaiman and I, about how Scotty Scheffler's got 24 top 10s in his last 45 starts 24 top 5s in his last 45 starts worldwide, which is just, that's a comical number, and yet he's only won, he's only won 6 times. But I say only because he's playing at a level where you could see him winning 10, 12, 15 times in that stretch. That's how good he's been playing. And so I think he just needs to get something out of it. I think he needs to see a trophy on a Sunday to maintain, I don't know about confidence, but just a remembrance of like, oh yeah, I'm the best dude in the world, and all these other guys are kind of playing for second every time we tee it up.
Yeah, there is a fine line between potential and opportunity squandered on this tour. We'll see who gets it done in Chicago at the second leg of the FedEx Cup playoffs. AP, got to put a pick to it here. Through 18, has your opinion changed of what we see come Sunday?
Well, my opinion changed based on who I picked earlier this week, which was Viktor Hovland. I'm going to flip it to Rick Gaiman's pick, which was Rory. And I think that this was a round where, Joe, we'll look back on Sunday when he's 2 up with 10 to go or something like that and say, man, he really held it together on Thursday when he didn't have his best stuff off the tee. Obviously, every week, his driver's his greatest weapon, his best kind of tool in the tool belt. And he didn't really have it on Thursday, and yet he still shot 65. So I think sometimes that can be a little bit of a detriment to some guys, a little bit of it creates some pessimism over, does this guy have it this week? I have confidence that Rory's going to bounce back with driver, as one should. And I think that Thursday 65, where he didn't really have it, is going to be the thing that propels him to a win this week.
Kyle Porter always workshopping the Sunday gamer on a Thursday. We appreciate you as always, my friend. And don't forget, there's only one place to be for the thrilling weekend action at the BMW. Saturday, coverage beginning on CBS and Paramount Plus at 3 Eastern, Sunday, 2 Eastern time. Join us right here on CBS Sports HQ for pre- and post-round coverage and can't-miss analysis straight from the booth.